Salutare tuturor și bine ați venit la un nou episod. Eu sunt Tudor Sprânceană, iar astăzi avem un invitat special alături de noi pe Nikos Perifanis, creatorul și curatorul proiectului Endix, o inițiativă care explorează noi moduri de a interacționa cu conținutul digital, inclusiv prin experiențe accesibile instant, fără descărcare. Profit de ocazie și mulțumesc în mod direct și lui Teofanis Gavrilidis, CEO-ul Critical Hit PR și echipei sale, prin intermediul căreia am stabilit legătura cu Nikos. În episodul de astăzi ne propunem să înțelegem mai bine nu doar viziunea din spatele Endix, ci și în contextul mai larg, evenimentul în care acest proiect prinde viață. Vom discuta despre cum se îmbină tehnologia, creativitatea și comunitatea într-un spațiu care promite să redefinească modul în care descoperim și experimentăm conținutul digital. Discuția face parte dintr-un demers mai amplu, susținut de două inițiative din zona de gaming din România. Cuibul cu jocuri, blogul de gaming pe care îl dezvolt împreună cu Andreea, soția mea, și Revista Grind. Împreună ne dorim să aducem în prim plan oameni, idei și proiecte care contribuie la evoluția acestui domeniu. Rămâneți alături de noi pentru o conversație despre inovație, provocări și viitorul experiențelor interactive. Okay, so guys, allow me to firstly thank you very much for having joined us on this special episode. For us, it's been a long time in the making because I've already been part of Endix last year, so I really am looking forward to what you're going to say. First of all, please help us by presenting yourselves and also giving us a short version of what Endix really is. Thank you very much.
Go ahead, Nikos.
Yep. I'm Nikos. I'm the founder of Endix. It is a project that I've started back in 2019 before COVID. Eventually, through all the adventures of a startup, we reached a point last year that we managed to do 2 events. And they were like pretty successful, I can say, with more exhibitors and more publishers. And an event that you have also experienced, Tudor, that really worked out and resonated with gamers around the globe. My role lies as in every startup in various aspects of the endeavor and the entity itself, from managerial decisions and discussions, to some marketing, to some creator discussions, to product, which is like the focus that I mostly have. And overall, these are like some of the brief topics to do an introduction about myself. Daniel?
Awesome. Yeah, so I'm Daniel. I'm Chief Revenue Officer at Endix. I will be the guy who will bring in the exhibitors and motivate them to why they should be a part of Endix. I have a long background in gaming. I've been working on the agency side mostly, where I've been at companies such as Lurkit. They do influencer marketing. I was the first guy they hired when they had a product to sell. I've been with GameSite. I worked for a game studio, rough times, they went bankrupt, so that was unfortunate. And I do a bunch of things in gaming. And I had the pleasure to meet Nikos last year at Gamescom when he was pitching Endix to me and my girlfriend. She works at THQ Nordic. And immediately after the meeting, I told my girlfriend that I need to be a part of Endix. This is the coolest thing I ever seen. And now, almost 6, 7, 8 months later, I've been a part of Endix since September last year. And yeah, it's still the coolest thing I ever seen. And the way we operate now is so much cooler and like smarter in how we integrate and the clients and what we're allowing them to do. What I think is the coolest part with Endix is that we allow for equal opportunity, right? Imagine that you have social anxiety, you have any disability, so you can't afford travel or tickets. We are the solution for you. We are not here to try to replace physical events, but be a substitute to it.
Yeah, Daniel, I think that's a very good point. I was actually thinking while you were speaking that even I was, let's say, motivated to promote this project Endix to Romanian developers, especially because I was pretty sure. I actually went last year to Gamescom, and I said, okay, there should have been a Romanian presence here, like there was a Greek one, for example. And I said, I know Romanian people, might not have, or Romanian developers, especially indie developers, don't have enough money to maybe join Gamescom. But for Endix, like you said, it presents equal opportunity. So in my experience, I think this is the main, let's say, selling point for this. And this is what attracted me. let alone the fact that, of course, you can go to this event from the comfort of your home, which makes even more sense for people that don't have time, like ourselves. I'm really curious as to what inspired you to create Endix.
Mhm. So, as you said, Tudor, I was a gamer since 5 years old, since I ever can recall myself playing video games. And the thing is that, for every big and major market that companies strategically target to promote, to be part of events that happen there, there are many events that are not of that good quality around the world, and markets and countries that have less opportunities when it comes to attracting these publishers and brands so that they can directly engage with consumers in these areas. As a child growing up, I always wanted to visit events like E3, for example, or TGS, and all these quite prestigious conventions. But at the end of the day, I didn't have either the budget or the time. So after a point, and especially with, if you think about it, events are an industry that, although we are gamers, there wasn't, especially back in 2019, something that resonated in the specific industry that we operate and in the way that we as gamers can experience something through our avatars as an extension of ourselves. It is happening many times that you get to know some people online. These are becoming your IRL friends, or you spend like tons of hours playing video games with them. So the idea that started like the whole discussion around ethics was, what if we could create an event that runs as a multiplayer video game? And pretty much this is how it started.
Okay. So my actual question right now is, when did you know, or when did you have this click, let's say, when you said, okay, this is what we need to do? I mean, I sense an opportunity, a niche here. When was this moment for you?
It was more about doing it for the sake of, making something that it's not there actually be there. And because I have a business background from other jobs I used to do, agencies and stuff, it quickly solved the need, which for a startup, it's like number one thing that you need to do before you start like the whole endeavor. So the need was that events are not that inclusive in a sense, because you need to do all this investment of time, budget. There are also constraints like social anxiety and other barriers that can be individual or social. So it was pretty evident, especially since like the early days that we were first doing some user research and we were discussing with gamers that have attended events, that something like Endix could be really, resonating well with the gaming community.
Right. So now let's Daniel a question, because I'm really curious. You talked a bit about the people, the brands that you interacted with and that you attracted to Endix, and I'm really curious what, let's say, names, bigger or smaller, are going to join us this year behind Endix.
So yeah, I can give you some more context to that. Is that when we are talking, so as a new game event platform, a solution, clients will always be hesitant, right? Because they are used to do everything in a certain way, done so for many years. So it's also a little bit like back and forth to why. And the why is easy, right? Because for me, a game needs to have content to show for. That's why they go to physical events in the first place. And now more can't afford those events, but they need still to make content to show for to the community that they have a game in production or an update for a game. So that is one thing where we create exposure and unique content. So imagine that you in Endix we have proximity chat, so you can talk to creators and other developers. Allows you to do street interviews with other people in Endix that you can have on your event. So there's a lot of things to why, and that's why I'm trying to convince the old timers that you should try something new. And also, to be fair, it's a fraction of the cost when you look at the big events like TGS, Gamescom, GDC is so expensive because hotels in the local area, they will triple their prices. So Endix is a really good way for you to allow to make content to push for your game, and you can use that content afterwards on your social channels, newsletters, website to show that you are still active and doing things to get exposure for your game. This year we have a bunch of cool studios lined up. So Mint Rocket is going to be there. They have a game called Dave the Diver, and
yes.
we have 10 Chambers. They have an upcoming heist game called Den of Wolves, which is a very anticipated game. We have THQ Nordic. They are going to be there with games such as Gothic 1 Remake, Tides of Tomorrow, Wreckfest, Reanimal, Titan Quest 2. Yes. We have 505 Games. They are going to be there. And last year they participated with Maitreya. And now this year they're going to bring back Maitreya, but they're also going to add a really anticipated game called Hella. Yes. Team 17 is going to have some presence. We have a bunch of cool indie games that is very highly wishlisted. Maybe they are not as big as a studio, but their games are games that people really want to see. And so we have a bunch of cool names. A few of them is not announced yet because they are going to do like exclusive announcement on their own inside of Endix. So we can't disclose that yet. But trust me, it's going to be really, really cool.
You already said, mentioned some of the games that, I'm following myself. So, for example, Hella or Reanimal. So I'm pretty sure whoever's following us will also have the same, pleasure in, just discovering more about Endix, because there are some big names just from the list you said. But what would you say was the biggest uncertainty in the beginning of, organizing this event?
Sorry, the biggest what?
Like the biggest uncertainty, as in this year, and also like when you actually began the whole thing.
Oh, that is easy. It's do Nikos have time to fill up the booths that I'm gonna bring into the expo? Because when it comes to having participants, I was confident that we're gonna have a stacked lineup this year. I'm very confident in how I pitch Endix and the value proposition. So it's more like you have to imagine or understand rather that we are a super small team. So it's me, Nikos, and one more guy, and then we have support from his friends and a friend of ours that runs a PR agency. But we are a super small team, and the goal, of course, is to scale up this as we go on. But yeah, it's more like, do Nikos and his team have the capacity to build cool stuff for the things that I will bring in?
Okay, that's a very
we
good
will be able to
plan.
see in May. But no, all jokes aside, from my side, it was kind of the same challenge. Like, okay, I can see that Daniel is helping a lot with all the contacts that the challenge of Endix past events was to be able to, discuss with publishers and discuss with brands and discuss with well-established entities in the gaming industry. But now this challenge is kind of gone in a sense, and now the new challenge is to be able to make it on time, which based on my last check, which was a few hours ago of the development pipeline, we're in a good role. So yeah.
Actually, everything you're saying makes sense to me, because especially on the team side, Daniel was saying something earlier that you are not a lot of guys. So we over at Grind are basically just the same. We're just 3 or 4 guys, and then like main guys, let's say, who usually edit, do all the work. And then you have these collaborators or people that want to pitch in, and we also enjoy having their input put into the magazine. But overall, yeah, that's the point for us as well, to grow. So I definitely understand let's say, the logic behind what you are trying to achieve. Now I'm really curious, and I'm going to be a bit more philosophical here. If you were to describe this event, Endix, in one sentence, what would the explanation be? You can both answer. So it's.
I think that we try to like have that answered on our Steam page. So I'm going to go there and I'm going to pull a quote from that page, because of course when you pitch this, like, how do you pitch it as as few words as possible, but get out the message in one sentence.
Yeah, because the 21st century, nowadays everything has to be fast, maybe too fast. So
I would say a virtual theme park.
okay, that's very interesting. I totally agree.
Yeah.
What about you, Nikos?
Well, as Daniel said, I believe that Endix being something like so unique, it's difficult to be able to communicate all the feelings that such an approach offers, and even if you describe it with words, at the end of the day, it's something like pretty unique. So you can only get the feeling of it once you download it and create your avatar and jump in the experience itself. But yeah, the virtual theme park game show, words like this, I think that can, be on point to what we're creating.
Okay, makes sense. And now, like, I'm curious, what would you say your primary audience is? Although I'm expecting something very mixed, but I'm curious. What would you say that?
I would say that our audience is gamers who would like to explore not only a specific genre, but in general find like their next favorite game. Also, at the same time, creators who would like to connect with their audiences because not all creators, especially also VTubers, it's easy. It's not that easy for them to go on events and to connect in an authentic, in a gamer centered way with their fans. At the same time, indie developers and also publishers that would like to connect with journalists, with creators, and of course with the target audience, which is gamers. Endix is an event for all of those. So at the end of the day, it's pretty much like the whole gaming industry and a similar approach to what is happening to physical events, but in a different setting, I can say.
So if you short that down, the answer is variety gamers.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So because we have so many games, right? And if you love playing, you have the FPS fan base. They will stick to Valorant for thousands of hours, or Counter-Strike or Overwatch, right? We have so many games. We do have FPS games this year lined up, which is very exciting. But I would say the main audience is variety gamers who love to explore new games, maybe find a new game that they didn't have on their radar, and so on.
Yeah, it's quite funny you're saying that, because this is exactly the type of answer I expected, because I myself am part of the variety gamer, let's say, group, because I usually don't say I have my favorite games, of course, but then I am open to playing anything that basically attracts me. So it can be an FPS, it can be a strategy, it can be RTS, whatever it is. It can also be, I know, I played something recently that was, let's say, by all standards, a bit childish. So it was with Legos and stuff. I said, okay, that's cool. It resonates with me. So actually, if you brought this up, I actually want to ask you this. We usually try to know our interlocutors a bit better. So what games do you actually play? Like some titles or recently played games, whatever you feel like.
I'm the Valorant player.
Okay.
So the thing is that I love playing games, but I'm so competitive in my gaming. So I used to be a hardcore World of Warcraft player back in 2004,
Wow.
back to 2009, and then I got kids and I realized that I have to choose. So for me, what's working with Valorant is that I can play for 1 hour and be happy with it. I can warm up, I can do a competitive game, and then I'm done. I do play other games. I was hooked on Megabonk, which was last year's success. I played that for many, many hours. But in general, I love playing competitive games where I know I either get killed or I kill someone other of a gamer, right?
Yeah. What about you, Nikos?
So because Daniel is doing quite an amazing job, I don't have enough time to play as I wanted to. But some games that I've recently played are The Last Spell, which is like an indie, and also I tried Moonlighter because I have seen it in the past event, but I wasn't aware of the title. But I like having the small store and going to adventures and stuff like this, and also. I have played with some of my friends recently, like a month ago, Galactic Rock, which is like practically you're a dwarf in the space and you're mining for resources.
Yes.
As like a gamer, I'm playing like lots of different games, and I don't have a preferred genre. Although, as years are passing and work tends to become more intense, I tend to prefer roguelike because it's more or less what Daniel explained, that you get to play a run and then like you can skip. It's not that you are disrupting in most cases the story or anything.
Okay. So I can basically relate to what you both said. First of all, I agree in the need to play games that you can either stop at a certain point and continue later on without feeling the huge gap in the story or whatever, or basically playing shorter indie games which you maybe manage to finish in 1 or 2 hours and get the gist out of them, and you say okay, next game. Because as an adult, you have a lot of things to do: wash the car, do the dishes, go shopping, and etc. And this usually means you have very little time to actually play games. So I'm actually quite glad that you mentioned this. But I wanted to actually know, as a curator or the curating process behind Endix, what was the idea behind picking the games? Did you have any type of strategy?
So I guess I could answer. So what I'm trying to do is there is two things to it. What will draw traffic, because we need to have numbers to survive and show growth. And so far, back-to-back events, we had such an insane growth. For example, we started with a Steam sales page, and we were not on Steam at the time. And on the May event last year, we got 1.2 million impressions. On the November Steam sales page, we got 2.8 million impressions. So that is over double the growth on just the Steam sales page. Growth is everything. Numbers is everything. And how we achieve that is by finding games. So what I would do is I'm very active on X. I think X is an amazing platform to find new games. And also, I have to admit, I probably scroll too much on TikTok as well. But it's also an amazing place to find. I follow a bunch of content creators who just talk about the next anticipated games. And you see that if one game gets thousands and thousands of likes, I will be like, yeah, I'm going to reach out to them. So I'm reaching out to a bunch of games where I think there is a potential to become viral. And then, of course, I reach out to the established brands, because it looks good to have studios from Tencent or who's been in the game for many years who keep releasing bangers. THQ Nordic's a no-brainer. They release banger after banger, 505 games. They've been around for a long time. So keep in touch with the old timers. Make sure that have them, because it looks good, and they also always release quality games. But find those. So when I was working at Lurkit many years ago, I remember like, oh, I wish I could sign a AAA game. And after a while, and signing most of the AAA games out there, I found it was more fun to find a solo developer game and get to work with them. And so I feel the same when I see a game that, oh, this has potential. I'm willing to do whatever I can. Like, hey, dude, you get a booth for free if you are participating, because I think it's going to be a great exchange between us. So the process is two divided, I would say. What might bring visitors and create virality, and then we need to have the established brands, because that creates trustworthiness.
Mm-hmm. Right. So actually, first thing I want to mention is indeed the X platform. I found myself is quite a repository of hidden indie gems. I actually found the last podcast we actually did with an indie developer who created Dododaki, it sounds a bit childish, but it's a, let's say, Mario inspired video game, and I really loved it. So from the moment, and I only saw it advertised on X. So, and I definitely saw some other titles as well. The second thing I wanted to sort of touch on was, how would you say if you have any disagreements, how would you solve them, like creative disagreements? Nikos wants something, you want something. How do you reach a middle ground?
So I would say so far we haven't had many disagreements, because Nikos has just to fall into line and do what I ask. Jokes aside, when you have a partnership, communication is everything. And we haven't had any single disagreement where we be like, yeah, no, this is not working for either of us. It's been like, what makes the most sense what's the most beneficial for Endix? My complaints has been like, dude, I can't jump up on this plateau in the game. Can you please fix that? Because that is, if I think it's annoying, the visitor is going to think it's annoying. But so far, we haven't had a single disagreement where we had any issues. But also, we talk every single day. I went down to Greece earlier this year so we could have a proper workshop and make sure that we are aligned on everything.
Okay, that sounds very good. And Nikos, do you want to add anything?
Actually, no. The only time that we had like some additional discussion, I can say, was about our Steam page. But again, we understand that everyone has like the area of expertise. So I'm not, and also Daniel isn't the person that will say, no, we will stick to my opinion. It's important, and I'm really glad that for every single thing that may trouble us, we can like express what our concerns are, and there is always discussion. And worst case scenario, there are also like, as Daniel mentioned, Theo, another member of the team, that can help with also bring his input into discussions. But so far, we are like in the honeymoon process, let's say.
But with that said, I would love to see what the viewers and also what you think about the Steam page. Does it look solid? Does it bring you the messages we're trying to get out of there? Because I think it does.
For me, it made sense. When I saw it actually last year when I checked, I said, shouldn't this guy be on Steam or Epic Games or something? Because these platforms sort of are synonymous with, the community. Because if you're a gamer, you can't really be a gamer without having at least a Steam account. Not necessarily the primary account, but you have to have a Steam account or a Steam name or whatever. So it made sense for me. I said, okay, this is like you said it, I said, it's like they read my mind, they should have been on Steam. So this is what I actually wanted to ask you. I think it's sort of a rhetorical question, but I'll ask it anyway. Would you say that going with the page and with Endix on Steam was a great idea, or how would you put it?
No, it's the best idea. The reason is, so first of all, to have our own launcher that we had at 3 events prior is not a bad thing. That allows us to fine-tune what we want to represent. However, having our own launcher is a gamer's worst nightmare. You don't want to have a 900 launcher. I personally hate other launchers. I think it's like so annoying. And I was offered a job last year. Someone reached out and said, hey, we are this gaming company. We help games bring their own launcher. I was like, yeah, I'm going to pass on this, bro, because I don't want to support more launchers out there. But it gave us a good understanding to make sure that, okay, this is Endix. This is what we want to achieve. Now, when we see that the proof of concept is really working, we need to be on Epic Launcher. We need to be on Steam. That creates accessibility, and it's easy accessible. And a few more games, and I'm pretty sure that Steam will also support us, because when they see that everyone is talking about Endix, they have to.
Okay. So I'm actually curious about another thing. I'll circle back basically to something we talked earlier. You mentioned the community, of course, and how important this is to Endix, but we all know it's also important to the gaming industry in general. So I was actually curious, what were some of the, let's say, lighter, funnier comments you received when launching Endix? Like, I know gamers usually, I mean, there are some gamers that usually don't understand what's happening, and that's the funniest things. So could you share some of that with us?
So I can say that so far, at least with our own launcher and past events, the community is like super supporting. I think that a reason for that is because they understand the vision, and it's important when you are starting growing a community to be able to communicate effectively what are your future objectives and what you're thinking about, what you want to bring out to the world. And when it comes to something specific, we do understand, as in every early stage product, that at the end of the day, there are some things that may want some fine tuning. I don't think, or I don't recall right now any moments that specifically something was like a bad experience or something of some sorts. But it's important also to mention that for every event after event, and maybe you have experienced it yourself, Tudor, um, we are adding several new features and several stuff to what we are doing in Endix. So of course we have new exhibitors with new experiences and new activations, but apart from that, we are also doing improvements and additional, mini games and the Endix Climb trial and all these things. These are coming like if not 100%, 95% from feedback that we receive from both exhibitors and the community. So this means that we want, and our whole strategy is around making Endix as gamer-centered as possible. And this means that we do not just develop features that we think that they would be cool. We develop features that our community suggested and identified as necessary or good to have.
Okay, that's a very solid answer. I actually found this myself as a user, last year, that every area was well curated, and we could have a decent amount of activities, which is something that always appeals to gamers, of course. I think one question that, or at least it is on my mind, is, I know, and I think this should be mentioned, access to Endix is of course free for anybody and whoever wants to join. But do you have any plans on monetizing this in the future, or are there any discussions on this?
I think that right now we want to keep it as is. So today, exhibitors is paying to be a part of the event, so they are paying. For visitors, it's for now going to be free, and we haven't not really discussed this in a deep matter, because as a startup, we're just going event to event to see what can we do to improve from the last event. But of course, there is a future where, imagine that we add B2B to Endix. So for example, we add a feature where developers can book meetings with publishers. And at 1 p.m., when you have your meeting with this publisher, you just get teleported into a room and you start talking, you exchange your information. And so we are trying to also squeeze in long-term goals. What can we do to expand? And I've been to so many Gamescom, and if you have a back-to-back meeting, you're screwed, because you're going to bet your life it's 20 minutes apart from each other, and you have 30-minute slots. Endix also solves that. So for example, that you just get teleported into a new area with your partner, regardless what you're doing. You have a meeting at 1 p.m., you will be there. So that's one way we could add into monetization, whatever. But we will see. Brands, imagine that we're discussing like, Endix is a city block, right, with a bunch of things to do and explore. Now we're going to add scooters. We can brand them as Bolt or Voi or any branding who wants to have their branding on a scooter.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of discussion how we can get non-endemic brands in to join as well. So there is stuff, but more of that coming later, because we are such a small team focusing on like the next event all the time, and it needs to be gamer focused in the beginning, and it's always going to be gamer focused. This is a gaming event. But there is also other brands who wants to take part of the gaming world, right?
Yeah, that makes sense actually, and this sort of ties to my next question. Would you say this area, space, whatever you're trying to develop, is like a competitive space, thinking about maybe other people that might steal your idea, let's say, or just borrow from it and design their own thing? Do you think it might be very competitive in the future on this?
So yes. The reason being is, first of all, as I told you earlier, we don't compete with physical events. We try to be a substitute. And after this event that we're going to have now, I'm pretty sure that people will be surprised about the numbers we're going to present. Impressions, visitors, clicks, views, all of that. And there might be people who want to replicate what we are trying to do. That's why it's so important for us to be first and also run really fast. So what I mean by that is that we don't earn any money on this. We reinvest every single dollar we get to get more creators, more press, more media, everything, but we are also building a really, really good relationship with the participators, the exhibitors, making sure that they feel that they get the value, that they understand why they should do it and how to use it when the event is over. And we see that from the last event, 505 Games reached out, hey, we need to be a part of the next event. THQ Nordic, we need to be a part of the next event. It's a no-brainer for us. And that kind of proves my point that we are on the right track, and that continue doing this, making sure that when I urged every exhibitor, like, hey, when the event is over, please submit all the feedback that you have and what we can do better. And from the last event, we got so much good feedback that we are listening to, and hopefully we get even more feedback now.
Okay, so that makes, once again, it makes sense for me. You just reminded me somehow, talking about this, that I should also thank Theofanis Gavrilidis, the CEO of Critical Hit PR, because he actually introduced me to Endix. I, to my shame, didn't really know much about it, but once I actually found out, I said, like you were mentioning, yeah, it's a no-brainer. I mean, even I ended up, actually we ended up, Grind and the project I am developing called Cuibu cu Jocuri, which is basically a gaming blog. We ended up actually featuring, having a small space in Endix. So once again, this for me feels like a no-brainer. And I actually wanted to ask you if you're also planning on bringing other aspects of the gaming world, because you already have brought the press, so you have the game developers. Would you maybe consider bringing other aspects from this gaming, let's say, industry inside?
Do you have an example of what you're
Yeah.
meaning?
I'm thinking of, for example, I would say, like, you have all these accessories, consoles and stuff like this. Would you bring any of these inside, like
Oh, of course. I
advertising and
can
stuff?
already tell you that Alienware is going to be part of the next event.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. So first of all, timing needs to be right for someone to join, but also when it comes to non-endemic like headphones and my so every booth that we build is made from the game's real game assets, right?
Ah,
Which is really cool. So the
cool.
developers send us their assets, we build it by their assets. Super easy, super cool, a really neat feature. When it comes to Razer, Alienware, HyperX, Corsair, Elgato, all of those, they don't have those assets because they are not building games. So it creates a little bit
Exactly.
more like, okay, we can do it, but we have to reinvent the wheel, how to 3D model this one. And then we have to say, okay, do we do this and put 50 hours into do a digital mouse? Or do I find 10 other clients with gaming and we do the same amount of work with that? So it's give and take. Razer has been a part of Endix. Alienware is joining now. So yes, of course, is the answer, but it's all about resources and where to put the time into what makes the most sense right now.
Okay. I actually also appreciated the fact that the endings actually feels like a game. So in itself, it's sort of philosophical. A game presentation within a game. It's one of those gameception type memes. But I'm actually curious if avatars you might consider are the future of interaction between individuals.
Of course, avatars and being able to interact with other visitors, even if it's a creator, developer, or a regular visitor, is super important because it allows such an immersive experience. So what we are adding this event is outside of every booth, the developers can choose to add a schedule when they are live in Endix. So you can go up to that booth and talk to the developers, which is really cool, right? And avatars per se, I mean, I don't want to spoil too much, but imagine that you log into Endix as one of your favorite game characters. You will already see that this year. So and then you can imagine that you have a really popular character, and all of a sudden it's 50 of those in the same booth. Like, what's going on here? That will create a viral moment for whoever the booth is, the booth owner, when you have 50 characters from a really popular IP. So we are already adding game characters as avatars that you can be when you are in Endix. That is coming. Imagine also that you have branding on the clothing. We already did it with AMD. What's the next level? Like, how can we brand the clothing? And then, of course, as Nico said earlier, we have a bunch of VTubers who wants to be at events, but they are a VTuber. Well, we can replicate your avatar and put it in Endix, so you can meet and greet the actual VTuber, right? So it opens up. Avatars is everything here.
It's actually been, you've actually opened this, much further than I thought. I'm seeing how, like you said, using your own gaming character could actually improve the experience, because in a way it's sort of like cosplaying, because there is no gaming event on this earth. We have that in Romania. We have the Eastern European Comic Con, and it's basically, you have gaming and cosplayers. They're basically one and the same, if you ask me. So this could be something like this. And this actually brings me to my next question. Would you consider actually allowing cosplayers to actually join the fun? Manga, all these, let's say, adjacent subjects to gaming. Do you actually take this into account as well, or will you?
I think we think about it, but again, it needs to make sense. To make an avatar or a skin in the game, it's not super easy. Also, the owner of that skin, even if it's from an IP, a VTuber, they maybe have like, oh, it needs to have the right animation in how it moves. That is because we will never, a lot of these studios as well, when they add things, they want to have animations. But if we can't replicate animation from the game itself, we rather tell them no, because we only want to make sure that everything you see about an IP, a skin, an avatar, needs to replicate the value of what's going to be the final product. So yeah, we are considering every option as long as it makes sense.
Okay. I'll ask a question again for both of you guys. Going back to the philosophical side of things, so we can lighten up a bit. What would you say excites you most about the gaming industry right now? So, what are you looking up to? Games, something else?
I'm gonna give it to Nikos now. I've been speaking so much.
The challenging question. So when it comes to the gaming industry, I can say like a title that I'm waiting. I believe that most of the viewers right now and the gaming community is waiting is GTA. Although it holds also a challenge, because our plans is to do another event in November, and now we are like in discussions about the exact date, as you never know if it's going to be postponed for another day. But overall, I think that the industry, as in like the world that we live in, and everything that is happening, it affects pretty much every single industry. So we can see that also the gaming industry is being affected commercially. But yeah, this is like a much more difficult discussion, let's say. So I would keep it to GTA and what I personally wait as a gamer.
That's pretty much true for me. I'm a big GTA fan, but aside from that, I'm also looking forward to, generally new indie games, because this year and last year I saw so many concepts. So for example, there was one I particularly kept in mind. I'm a historian, so I actually went to history faculty, and they released this game. It's called Berlin Apartment, and it's basically something that you might have been thinking of. Usually when you look at a house, at the building, you think, what, especially if it's like an old building, like for example the Colosseum in Italy, and you put your hand on it and you're thinking, how many other hands have touched this through history, So basically this game is also about the same thing. It's an apartment in Berlin, of course, but it's pictured during different time periods. So you have the Nazi occupation, you have the First World War, you have current times, and it's all these people trying to live in it. And basically I thought this was a great idea, I don't know how anybody thought this could make a game, but it ended up being a game, and it's really cool. So I don't know, indie games are surprising. Daniel, what about you? Sorry.
Indie games is ruling the gaming industry, period. Because indie games are allowed to build games without having a big corporation breathing down their neck and hunting them for opinions from the shareholders and release unfinished products. So indie games, we love indie games. I'm looking forward to a game called The Legend of California. It's a Western PvP FPS survival game. It looks so freaking cool, and I can't wait to get my hands on that game. I tried to get them to Endix, but when you work in sales, you have to get used to get ghosted, and we get that a lot as a new upcomer, right? But the Legend of California, I think that it's such a cool game, and I get still to kill other players or get wrecked by them. And what I'm looking forward to now is event season is taking part soon, where we have Gamescom, Tokyo Game Show, TwitchCon. I love going to events. That's where I shine and thrive, meeting other studios, creators. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Last year I went to Gamescom, and for me, this business, I never would have imagined I would end up doing podcasts. I'm not really your go-to type of podcaster, but meeting people at Gamescom, actually gave me this idea that maybe I can do something, in the game field for my country, because we have an industry here, but it's really down to the ground, and it's here and there, smaller indie developers. And I thought maybe, through press, you can sometimes popularize some of the projects, and like Endix is a great opportunity for that. So again, I totally agree with what you're saying, and I also found out I actually shine when discussing with people about the things I like and they like, and you find common sharing points. Um, what would you say keeps you motivated? Because I know it's pretty hard in this business.
Nikos?
From my side, I would say that like my passion for games. Like I remember playing my first game, Disney's Hercules, back when I was 5 years old. So when your experience in the industry starts from like such a young age, and after all these years of tons of games and tons of consoles and PC games and everything, you get to also prepare a vision that you have, and you actually make it a product, and this product is being visited by the community that you're also part of the community and you used to be as a gamer. It's something that drives the whole passion, and it's the reason why during the event, personally, I slept like 3 hours during 2 days, and even an article sometime said like go get some sleep. I would say that the very passion of for the industry is what gives all the motivation that continues to uh, drives me forward.
Okay. I'm going to ask once again a question that I guess you can both answer. It's again philosophical. We love these types of questions here because we actually find out, a bit more about the people we're talking to. So, if or at this point, actually in time, what would you advise yourself? But yourself as in a younger version. What would you advise a younger version of yourself, if you were to talk to yourself, of course?
I can start there. I would tell myself to just get out there, to leave your comfort zone. The comfort zone is the worst place you can be at. You will never find growth as long as you stay in your comfort zone. I grew up on the countryside, dirt poor, and I've been a gamer my entire life. I've been a gamer for 45 years now. I'm so old that I played Pong as a kid, and you have to Google that if you don't know what it is, and Bubble Bubble to Commodore 64, and so on. And I joined the gaming industry very late in life, and when I joined it, I was like, why haven't I done this before? And the reason is the comfort zone. I had a house, I had my 9 to 5, car, kids, and yeah, the gaming industry is the best place I've ever been to due to the amount of amazing people I have connected with here. The comfort zone is something that will always hold you back. I have 3 kids. My oldest is turning 19 years old now, and I've been grinding him to not to be introvert, not to feel scared to take the next leap of faith. So now we're discussing what can we do when he's graduating this summer. And I told him, go to Japan for a year, study Japanese, get to know people, do something that you did not expect to do. So for me, it's always to allow yourself to take a leap of faith and leave the comfort zone.
Okay.
For me, it would be more or less the same. So when it comes to comfort zone, I believe that in some areas I have stressed like a lot out of it. When it comes to starting a startup, especially when it's something quite unique, it's by itself like a really significant endeavor. But truth be told, I was not, and still I'm not like that extrovert, and I don't have like all these. Skills that needs to be there. But especially from my last Gamescom and discussions with Daniel, also Theo, who is like a super extrovert, I have tried and keep trying to be more extrovert and more, not talking through my avatar in an Endix event, but be there myself and having all the discussions.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. As I can once again relate to what Daniel was saying. I'm 30 years old, so I'm not old, but I'm not young either. I'm right in the middle somewhere. So
It
as
could
I
just go
have
down from here, I'm telling you.
Yes, I actually have the same experience. When I went 30 years old, my back started hurting me. I had all these aches and pains, so I said, okay, this is the start of the end, like you were saying. So, what I actually found out is that up until 30, I was actually thinking, like you were saying, get a job, get a car, get a wife, which I've done all of those. But then I started thinking exactly like you were saying that, maybe I want more, not necessarily money, because usually that's what people are always running after. It's not bad to have that. But I wanted something for the soul, let's say. There's something that I could actually do and feel that I like. And that's how the whole gaming, grind, magazines, and how this podcast ended up happening. So I definitely agree with that. I also sort of agree, or actually agree with what Nikos is saying, but I want to be more careful in saying that you have to take time and take care of yourself as well. So like 3 hours sleep during the night, you can do that a lot of times, especially at my age, and I
It
believe
was an
Daniel's
event.
age too, because you end up dying in the end. So nobody wants that. But I get the feeling, and if you want to do something and when you're passionate about it, it's usually it ends up like this. You consume all the energy you have and you risk actually losing yourself in it. um, what would you say, though, one misconception about your job is? Because I know that gamers usually are seen as, let's say children, people that, love to play with children's toys, something like this. So I'm actually curious.
About the industry as an industry, or like our role, let's say, and
Let's go with both. Let's go with both. So one short answer for each of it.
okay. So about the gaming industry, for all the questions or the misconceptions that exist out there that yeah, it's kid stuff. The value of the gaming industry right now is more than films industry and music combined. So by itself, it's something that to those people that say that it's a game or toys, it could be like a sufficient answer, because usually also these are the people that have most times no idea of this information, and also it's kind of passion for like a big number portion of the population. Keep in mind that when I was younger, my parents were telling me don't play all these hours. When I will do my own children, I will have my own children, I will tell them, what are you playing? This is not a good game. Try to play these games.
Yeah.
By itself, I think as the years pass and progress, gaming is something that it's part of the culture. Now, when it comes to a personal level, I think a misconception is that if you start like your own business, you will have your own time and like all these things, which is like the biggest lie ever. Because maybe at some point you can eventually be there, but till that point comes, personally, at least in my case, I know, and it's part of things that I like, that you're always busy and need to be like doing a bunch of stuff, not only like the regular, okay, I'm doing one, two, three, and that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Go ahead,
think
Daniel.
so. I will go back to a quote that I really like. It says, "We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing."
Yeah.
What I mean by that is that I always been very nerdy and geeky, which my kids has always loved, and always my kids' friends want to be at my place. The dad who works with gaming, the dad who plays
The cool
games. Yeah. I don't really care what other things. When it comes to parents and kids and what they think about their kids and so on, um, they don't understand. That's the reason. So if you are playing football, they wouldn't. I bat an eye. They would like support, but when you're playing, that is a bad thing in their sense. But today, you can actually earn so much money in gaming. So, for example, if your kid becomes a Counter-Strike star or a Valorant star, they would probably earn more than most football players out there. And I'm pretty sure they would change their mind, but they would need to allow their kid to practice, right, to become something. Um, I think that parents now, so my generation, maybe not my generation, maybe your generation, you will be the understanding parents up till you die, because you've been playing your. I'm the exception because I'm born 1980. If I look at my people in my own age, they would probably look down to me. But also, I think that I come under the radar where people don't think that I'm 46 years old. And I would say that I'm pretty sure that is because I'm a fucking geek. I'm a gamer. I'm sorry, I did a curse word.
No, bro.
I will always be a gamer until the death. I will be a gamer. And also, it's funny because they say that people who do ball sports, they will have less chance to get dementia and stuff like that. And the same goes for FPS players, because you always have to be active with your aim and your brain and all of that. So I would use that as an excuse to keep playing Valorant until I'm 70 or 80 or whatever, right? But yeah, people needs to understand gaming better. I have a baby sister, and she has a kid, and that kid is earning probably around $100,000 a year on a Roblox game he did. And he did that game when he was 16. So she's not complaining that he's working on Roblox at home. But yeah, it's about understanding. Gaming is a part of the culture now, and we also see it's more socially accepted today than 10, 15 years ago.
Especially amongst gamers. Usually they're more accepting just because of playing games, and the stories
Yeah.
they sometimes tell. So I'm actually curious, as we're going, of course, towards the end, because this has been a great chat. So too many geeks, on the show. Are there and what are some of the upcoming features you are planning for the next iterations of Endix? So not this year, or can you share some of that with us?
So as I said earlier, I think that it's important to state again that every event, our focus is the feedback that we receive, and we do not plan, features and things to be added in Endix. At least for this stage, maybe in the future we will, based on what we think it would be cool. But we do it rather based on what the community and exhibitors have asked us to. So I can say that mounts will be something that we are going to add after this event. Well, the UI is going to be there for this event, and also some other features that I'm not going to spoil. But what else?
I can chip in. So two things, right? We will start looking into the B2B thing. That will be something we're going to look into. I think that could actually help the industry a lot. And the second all is that we are also going to get more partners to team up with us in Endix. We need so every successful company is successful because you have great employees. So we will find good partners to team up with to make sure that we can leverage on the success that we had so far.
Okay, so this actually makes a great jumping point for my next question. If you had, let's say, all the recession in the world and all the money, who would you actually call on to come to Endix? So who would you actually, if you had, no obstacles at all?
Well, first of all, Epic Games just laid off 1,000 people. So I'm pretty sure some of those were super dope and know Unreal and know everything. So we could ask them if they want to join. That would be super dope. But also find like what would you call advisors, if you will, chairmen, if you will, that can resonate with the vision that we have, and find like those smart people. I would love to work with some top end developers who made everything in butter smooth when you are experienced Endix.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good. Nikos, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, for me, it's about tons of people out there. It's important though to be aligned on the vision because no matter how good someone is, if they are not passionate about what they would like to achieve by joining a specific organization, I think it may cause more problems than good. So as we said with Daniel, the moment that he joined, we were aligned since like the first minute on the vision of Endix. Same goes with Theo, same goes with people internal and external that work in Endix. So for me, it would be super important to be able to maintain this vision because in order for the community to feel what we are preparing, every single person that works in Endix needs to be there and support, not only do like the job, let's say, but go a step further because they genuinely want to make an awesome experience and have a community engage and enjoy themselves.
Yeah. So if people still have any doubts, you're all about, supporting the community and, listen to it. So that's actually the 21st century gamer thing. Gamers, that's what gamers want. So everywhere you read reviews and stuff like this for games, they say, yes, of course, look, the developer listened to us. If the developer hadn't listened to them, they say, okay, it's awful because they just don't listen. They do their own thing. So that's great, I think. Now, towards the, let's say, last or second last question, what would you say the legacy of, what would you want the legacy of Endix to be?
Uh, Personally, I would say the event that understood the need of creating something new and offer a substitute to events that not everyone can join. I
Mm-hmm.
think this would be from my side.
I would say that my vision and goals with Endix is it should be an event that people talks about, just like they do with Gamescom, TwitchCon, like when they are looking at events to go to, either as a visitor or exhibitor, Endix should always be in their mind, like, oh, we need to do something in Endix in May. And then we know that we have succeeded where the inbound is higher than the outbound, where people are actually like, oh, we need to prepare to reach out to Endix to be a part of it, right?
Okay. Okay. That makes actually great sense. Actually, thinking about it, that's what I would want if I were in Endix, for it to be sort of like the equal of Gamescom, but in virtual space. So, guys, before I end thanking you, and for joining me on this discussion, I want to ask you one last thing. We usually do this on the podcast for each of you. Please, what would you think about telling our audience something? It doesn't have to be maybe an encouragement, maybe an idea, conclusion you've made. Daniel, you most certainly have had some conclusions, being so old. So I'm sure you must
Okay,
have
I'm
reached.
leaving.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
No,
So
but yes. So first and foremost, it's important for everyone who sees this or participates in Endix understand that the next event is our fourth event. We are a startup with a super small team. We do take feedback very, very seriously. I want to go back to Crimson Desert. I love what they are doing. They are addressing every community feedback. They are changing. People find an exploit. Instead of removing it, they saw this is a really cool exploit, and they made it a part of the game. We want to be that developer who listens to the community, does feedback, and like brings value that they see that they are being listened and heard to. But of course, anyone what makes helps us is when you follow and wishlist the Steam page, right? That because for me, wishlist is such a stupid number. It doesn't make any sense in a perfect world. But since it's a very important number, just wishlist the game. It doesn't cost you anything, and you can support us that way.
okay, that's great. Yeah. Nikos.
Same goes with me, but as I said, focusing on the product side. If anyone of the viewers downloaded and experienced Endix, feel free to connect on Discord, provide us with feedback, reach out to us, any ideas that they may have. It's like not requested, but like more than just welcome.
Okay. Guys, I just want to take the time to thank you for having, joined me on this conversation. Very insightful. I'm very glad, Nikos, you brought Daniel as well. I mean, he was, the best partner conversation. You are also a very good conversation partner, but we've been talking for a long time, so this is without a given. I want to wish you on behalf of Grind and my own project, good luck. And I think I'm actually sure after talking to you that this is going to be a success for sure. So
Thank you so
maybe
much
we'll
for having us.
yes, please.
See your avatar in the event, consider.
Thank you. Yes, so I hope you maybe have a space there for a historian. You never know. You might need a historian in gaming. So yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.